Hey y'all, Brian Thacker, Natural Self Yoga. Today I'm going to go over some tips to guide you through a yoga practice, a typical Vinyasa flow yoga practice that's going to help to protect your low back. There are different poses that you can do to help your low back, but this one's to help you if you're in a yoga class and you still want to protect your low back. A lot of people go to chiropractors and they'll have low back issues, and the chiropractor will tell them, maybe you should try yoga. What does that mean? One of the great things about yoga is what it does for your spine. However, every single yoga class is not great for your spine. You might go to a yoga class where all they do is sit and breathe. All these things are great, these things are yoga, but that's not going to help your back. You may go to another yoga class that's very athletic, very physical, very advanced postures and things like that. Once again, great yoga, but the problem is that might actually aggravate your back. So you want to find a way to protect yourself. As always, any practice that you go to with any teacher, in any studio, in any style, it's up to you to honor your body and turn the focus to the inside and understand what you need in that moment. And over time, it will change. But if you have low back issues, here are a few things that are going to help you to protect your low back so that you don't injure it further in your yoga class. So the first thing that you need to do is to make sure that you keep your core engaged. I call it core engaged. Technically in the yoga community, it's called a bandha, engaging your bandha. There are three basic bandhas, they're energy locks. Essentially, it's making sure the Uddiyana bandha is the one right here at your midsection. Your belly pulls in and it hugs the low back. Ideally, you want to keep that engaged throughout your entire practice. No matter if you think that you're not actually using those muscles, those are the muscles that you're going to actually have to use to protect your low back. If you're balancing, if you're doing any of these other postures, you're thinking about where your hands are, where your feet are, and all of these things, and you don't worry about engaging your core. Technically, you're supposed to keep that bandha, all three bandhas engaged throughout your entire practice, and that keeps the energy on the inside and it helps you have a much better physical yoga practice. But just make sure that you always, if you think about it and your belly's relaxed, try to engage that no matter what you're doing, especially if you're making movements, engage your core especially. All right, another big problem with the low back issues, and I've done this through experience. A lot of my classes will have vinyasas and sun salutations. One of the things with sun salutations is coming from a forward fold here to lifting all the way up. It's a great practice, it's a great posture, but the problem is it puts a lot of strain on the low back. So if you have low back issues and you want to protect your low back, the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is to maybe bring your hands onto your knees and use your arms to press and lift up from here. Again, it may not hurt right now when you're lifting up, but after class is over, it may start to get a little bit challenged. So you can always keep your chin to your chest and bend your knees and round up to standing one vertebra at a time. But again, the key is to focus on protecting this low back area. So normally inhale, lengthen, and then inhale, rise all the way up. So this one, maybe you just want to bend your knees and then belly to spine. Keep your belly to your spine, engaging your bandha, and then lifting all the way up. Or, once again, the best thing for me to recommend for you to do is to just bring your hands onto your knees, pressing and lifting up. Once again, you'll be in a yoga class and you'll have teachers that will want to help your low back, but they'll cue these things and you will need to know to protect yourself. Another thing is your upward facing dog or your Cobra Pose. Once again, the key is keeping the thighs engaged, okay? Keep extending back through the big toes. You're gonna lift up like this. And the idea is this back bend is in the upper and middle part of your spine and not the low part of your spine. So many of us just dump back into that low back, and that's gonna aggravate stuff. Because we lift up in this pose all the time, lifting up, lifting up, lifting up. But you wanna think to lengthen more than lift. Number one, always keep the belly to the spine. Number two, and keep the thighs engaged. The thighs engaged is actually going to help to protect the low back as well. Keep extending back through the big toes, thighs engaged, belly to your spine. Inhale, lifting up, trying to keep the bend in the upper to middle part of the spine. Okay? And you can always skip that and just press right back into your downward facing dog. I would not recommend going up into the full upward facing dog or any of the deeper back bends. Again, honor your body. That is the key part to any yoga practice. Another thing, when you start doing core work in a Vinyasa flow class, sometimes you do leg lifts, lifting up and down, up and down. All this stuff is great. Make sure you keep this belly pressing straight down. Try to keep your low back down, and your hands are here to help you as well. All right, steady breath, in and out. Boat pose, one of my favorites. If you're in one of my classes, we're gonna do this pose a lot because it's great for the core. And the core will help you to do arm balances and balances on one foot and also inversions. This is great. I used to teach this pose all the time. We would do half boat, full boat, half boat, full boat. I've taken classes where we do this 100 times, and it's fantastic for your core. The problem is, it really puts a lot of strain in your low back. All right, so you won't feel it while you're in the class, you'll feel it after the class. And I know this from experience talking to my students. So please, if you have any low back issues, keep your hands at a minimum back behind you. You can always bend your knees, you can bring your hands back behind your knees, toes can be down, but I definitely would not go down and up like this, okay? Because it does strengthen, but if you have low back issues, protecting your low back is the most important thing. Hands back behind you. This is gonna still strengthen your core. You're still doing the pose with the rest of the class. You're not standing out, but you're protecting your low back. The thing about the spine is that it affects every single part of your body, okay? It doesn't look like you're injured, right? When you cut yourself, you see a cut, but when you hurt an arm, when you hurt a bone in your arm, you put a cast on it, you put a sling on it, you can use the rest of your body as much as you need. When you hurt your spine, it doesn't look like you're injured. And it's so frustrating because every single move that you make, you just turn in bed. You're lying down in bed, you turn, you feel it, right? You try to stand up, you feel it. You try to move, turn your head, you feel it. That's why it's very critical to protect your spine. A lot of teachers say that you are as old as your spine is flexible. When you get on your yoga mat, do these moves. There's nothing better at aligning the spine, putting the spine back in its proper position, but it can also aggravate some of the spine as well. This was just a few tips to let you know what you can do to protect yourself when you find yourself in a Vinyasa class that may be a little more challenging for your low back than you might need. And be honest with yourself, back it back off. Next, I'm gonna do a video that's actually gonna show poses that's gonna help strengthen your low back and help protect your low back. But this one is for if you find yourself in a class and it's going really fast and you want to protect your low back, and it's going to help you and you're going to feel better the next day and you're still going to get strength and you're going to have a great time in the class. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was useful for you. Once again, Brian Thacker, Natural Self Yoga. I hope you have a great day. Namaste. See you at a mat somewhere near you real soon.